Hello, everyone. It's Philip Lee returning with another episode of Civil War Chat. Today's episode is February 8th, Tuesday, 2022. Click on the subscribe button down here in the lower right to subscribe to future episodes, and also the notification bell in the far upper right to be notified when the episodes are released. Today's show is I'm going to cancel Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada. Now that the left-wing mob and even the White House is trying to get Joe Rogan's podcast terminated, let's examine the concept of cancel culture. Supposedly, anyone who gets canceled has engaged in such irredeemable behavior that he is no longer entitled to hold his job. His behavior is so egregious that he should not be permitted to earn a living. Now, this principle applies almost entirely to politically conservative personalities, as evidenced by the mere suspension of Jeffrey Tobin from CNN, even after he was caught intimate with himself on a Zoom meeting. If he had not been a left-wing pundit, CNN nor any other network would have ever allowed him to come back. But if irredeemable behavior is the standard that justifies cancellation, let's consider the case of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He wants the Canadian truckers who are protesting the mask mandates to leave Ottawa, the capital city, and go home. After abandoning Ottawa for a secret location himself, Trudeau has steadfastly refused to meet with the truckers or their representatives to hear their grievances. Instead, he uses the legacy media to demean and lob insults at them over the airways at long distance without meeting with them personally. Now, while feigning concern for the people of Ottawa yesterday, Trudeau said they, meaning the Ottawans, don't deserve to be confronted with the inherent violence of a swastika flying on a street corner or a Confederate flag. I'm quoting him. That remark should lead to Trudeau's cancellation for four reasons. First, out of the thousands of demonstrators, possibly tens of thousands that demonstrated, few, if any, were flying swastikas, and only one had a modified Confederate flag. The attempt to connect the protesters to the moral transgressions of the Nazis is pure demagoguery. That is Trudeau, pure demagoguery. Second, connecting the Confederate battle flag with the swastika is also demagoguery. The Confederacy had no concentration camps where prisoners were systematically murdered en masse. In fact, the closest comparison to a concentration camp during the war between the states were the contraband camps behind Union lines for former slaves, then legally described as contrabands. The slaves were considered contrabands. Although they were not murdered wholesale, they lived under conditions that led to extraordinarily high death rates. Perhaps as many as hundreds of thousands of them died in such camps, according to historian Jim Downs in his Sick from Freedom book, the title of the book, Sick from Freedom by Jim Downs. Third, the Confederate flag is a symbol of regional pride in the American South. This was generally understood throughout America until the last 10 years or so, when woke demagogues like Trudeau started canceling those who disagreed with them, forcing them to lose their jobs. Most flag defenders, therefore, backed off out of fear of losing their jobs. Fourth, if Trudeau's implication is that the Confederate flag is chiefly a symbol of anti-Black racism, he is a hypocrite. 19 years ago, when he was a 31-year-old teacher, Justin attended a costume party in Blackface. And I'll pull up a picture of that here as soon as I finish this sentence or this paragraph. He is much like former Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, who wore either a KKK uniform or blackface to a similar costume party when Northam was a medical school student. To deflect criticism of their own racist behavior, both men dismiss everyone who disagrees with them or disagrees with their phony acts of atonement as rubes, deplorables, racists, bigots, what have you. In reality, the Canadian truckers are earning a living in a manner that does not permit them to sit indoors all day like Trudeau, avoiding contact with other people while maintaining their income levels at pre-pandemic levels. Instead, they have to go out and pick up loads and deliver loads in all kinds of weather. They deserve Trudeau's thanks, not his disdain. In short, Justin Trudeau's conduct is irredeemable, and he is canceled. Let me share with you a picture of Trudeau in blackface. Let me put this down. Here we go. He was 31 years old or 30 years old when this was done. And you can see he's plainly in blackface, having a great time at this costume party. And now as prime minister, well, blackface is racist and, you know, he apologized for that, but he didn't get canceled. No, that's because he's not of the politically conservative bent. But there he is in blackface. And what a hypocrite. What a hypocrite to speak of the Confederate flag in such a disdainful way and dismiss what many of us believe, that it is a symbol of Southern pride, much more so than a symbol of racism. So let's go on and I want to share another picture here. This one is my book, U.S. Grant's Failed Presidency. If you want to understand what happened during Reconstruction, a big part of that is understanding Grant's presidency. He was president for 8 years during Reconstruction, more so than longer than any other president. And he is falsely attributed with being a civil rights hero. He really did not care about the black vote except for the vote itself. He had very little regard for blacks. As I've said before, in 1875, when Mississippi asked for federal troops to police the polls down there, he refused to give it to them. Because he didn't care whether the blacks in Mississippi were able to win the election, because he cared more about having Ohio win the election. And here's what happened. The Republicans in Ohio told him that they did not want the federal government interfering with elections in any state, including Mississippi. And if that he did so, he would likely lose the state of Ohio in the 1875 elections. So this feeling about the wanting the states to have their own election laws goes back a long ways. It goes really all the way back to the Constitution itself. And so he did nothing to really focus on improving the lives of black people, except to the extent that he wanted their votes. When it came to a choice of their votes or the votes in Ohio, he chose the votes in Ohio. And really his support for the blacks was entirely contingent upon their voting for him. Now, the book is $22 at Amazon. If you want an autographed copy from me and you live here in the States, you can get it for $25. Just email me and we'll make those arrangements. Also, I'd like to encourage you, if you like any, go check out all of my books at Amazon.com. My author page at Amazon, Philip Lee. And if you like those books, then give them a 5-star rating. Buy the ones you like. If you like them, give them a 5-star rating. It helps us out. It helps us get our message out. Our message that the Southern heritage merits respect is something that we need to get out there. We can do this together. My books can help you get the information you need to support your case. Okay, that's our show for today, and thanks for watching.